May I ask your name?
My name is Suresh Grover. I'm the director of the monitoring group. I was one of the founders of Avaz Network, and I'm one of the coordinators of the campaign called #Modi Not Welcome.
What does Awaz stand for?
Avaz is a group of South Asians living in UK who are concerned about the growth of religious fundamentalism, religious intolerance and democratic rights in South Asia, and the growth of communal narrative in this country. We've been also assisting victims of violence in India and in this country. I am one of the representatives of the Dawood family, British citizens who were killed during the Gujarat genocide in 2002.
So is it a group of NGOs, and how many organizations are you connected with?
Avaz is a non-government organization. It is not funded. We run on a shoestring. The constituents are groups of people who are based in the UK fighting on different fronts: women's rights, secularism, anti-racist work, human rights. It's a mixture of activists and academics. And depending on the project we have, whether it's an academic exposure of something or an activity, other groups join us. So at the moment, in #Modi Not campaign, we can count on about 20 to 25 organizations who are supporting our protests, and a number of volunteers who are assisting us in this venture.
There are lots of news stories going around talking about a projection being made on British Parliament this Sunday. Was it real?
Absolutely real. It took place on the 8th of November at 9 o'clock. I was there. You can see one of the photographs. There's a silhouette of somebody who's trying to use his mobile phone. That's me. There's no question that it's authentic. In fact, we would have been there longer and the image would have been projected for much, much longer time. But the police were called, and the police has confirmed to other journalists and other individuals that somebody reported the incident to them and that they know that the image was projected. It's also been raised in the House of Commons as if the image was there, which it was. So I don't think the individual member of parliament who's raised this question, he obviously believes the image was there, and the House of Commons are acting on the basis that the image was there and have asked the police to investigate. What was the image? It was an image which said very clearly that Modi is not welcome in the UK. And that is a reflection of two things. Firstly, because of his role in Gujarat 2002, Mr. Modi has been a person non grata for 10 years in this country, and he was banned from traveling into the United States. So it's a reflection of that. Secondly, since he's come to power, there's been a culture of violence against religious minorities, a culture of attacks on NGOs who want to hold the government to account on issues to do with land grabbing and environmental justice. There's been subversion of justice, where individuals who have committed crimes are not held to account because of the power of the BJP and central government. Autonomous governments in Delhi like AAP are not allowed to function because they oppose some of the strands that Mr. Modi stands for. And then his close links to the RSS, where the government of the day has had meetings with RSS leaders to explain what the progress over a year is economically, politically and socially. And the RSS is a totally unelectable body. The Indian people elected a government which shouldn't be accountable to a paramilitary, all-male organization which is vitriolic against religious minorities and are sympathetic to the aims of Mussolini's and Nazism and fascism. So in all this, since he's come to power, Mr. Modi has been absolutely silent. He hasn't condemned anything. There's been horrendous murders of individuals suspected of eating beef, murdered for simply that reason. The daughter being threatened with rape, his son being beaten up badly. There's been killing of secularists, dissenters, and you've had, for the first time in India, artists, writers, novelists actually giving the prizes they honor for the work they've done and the commitment they've given to their skill back to the government because of the growth of intolerance.
What the RSS are saying, and their supporters, is that the image was insulting and offensive, and they're saying that for several reasons. One is that it allegedly used a Hindu symbol, and secondly, that it projected a Nazi symbol on Remembrance Day on Parliament. What do you have to say to that?
The image, especially the symbol of Om transferring to the swastika, is a very powerful, provocative symbol. And what it is meant to do is to explain that organizations like the BJP and its Sangh Parivar elements like the RSS have used religion in its entirety, symbols, buildings, literature, for political purposes. And they have politicized Hinduism and created an ideology of Hindutva which is akin to fascism. We are not saying Hinduism itself is fascist. We are saying the ideology of Hindutva leads to fascism. So it is a wake-up call for people to stop, think, discuss, and be alarmed about a religion being used for political purposes, ending up in genocidal violence. And the swastika on 8th of November, I think swastika is a repulsive symbol. It represents killings of millions of people, including trade unionists, communists, socialists, Jewish, Roma, anybody who looks like the other who opposed Nazism. And it was important to put it on that day because the 8th of November in the British context is a remembrance of all victims of war, especially the soldier. It's a day before a very powerful event in 1938 called the Kristallnacht, the Night of the Kristallnacht, when the German Nazis went into the Jewish ghettos and ransacked houses, broke glasses. There were so many windows and glasses broken that it became to be known as the Night of Broken Glasses. It is provocative because that's exactly what happened in Gujarat 2002, yet we don't call it fascist. In the British context, yes, we should be repulsed about the swastika sign, but it is a symbol which tells us never again. In other words, we need to identify the growth of fascism before it actually flourishes and before it is left to uncontested. So the image is a warning to all of us that never again in the name of fascism shall a population, a majority community disempower and marginalize and attack and victimize and demonize a minority.
Is there anything else after this, or was this?
Yes, on Thursday, 12th of November at 12 o'clock, we'll be congregating for mass protests outside Downing Street and in Parliament Square. We expect thousands of people to attend in a very peaceful, spirited, colourful festival of protest, including people from all sections of British South Asian community, Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, people who have no belief, people who are fighting for women's rights, people who are fighting for workers' rights, people who are fighting for minority rights. It will be one of the biggest protests against any Prime Minister from India that has come in this country. and that would be from 12 o'clock onwards, and that's the only activity so far that we have planned. Mr. Modi is here only for 2 days, Thursday and Friday.
Okay, thank you and good luck.